if we begin firstly with Queensland's new response to the UK strain, we're seeing 605 people go into quarantine, including shifting of 129 guests who are already at the Grand Chancellor. Is this the safest thing to do?
Yeah, look, it's a response to this new threat, and I think the Australian authorities are starting to learn more about just how dangerous this UK strain is, that it's more transmissible, and that the precautions that have been in place in hotel quarantine in the past may not be enough for the future.
Queensland's Premier has flagged that she wants to discuss overseas arrivals, and last week we saw Victoria's Deputy Chief Health Officer mention that they wanted to potentially reconsider people coming in from the UK. Should we be looking at blocking UK arrivals altogether?
I think blocking UK arrivals will actually have a very significant impact on Australians living in the UK. And we know there's a lot of travel between the UK and Australia, even during this pandemic. Would also impact on our ability to get critical workers, including healthcare workers, into the country. So a blanket ban, it is on the list of options, but I think it would be better if we can just find ways to make sure our quarantine arrangements are absolutely watertight, that we've got appropriate PPE in place, appropriate pre-flight testing, and hopefully with all that in place, we will not see this more transmissible virus strain getting out into the community.
Should we be considering things such as directing people from the UK to one hotel and, sort of cordoning off those sort of hot hotels per se?
Well, the problem with the UK strain is it's not just from the UK. That's just a name. That's where it was first described. But actually, it's all over the world now with, when I last heard, at least 30 countries reporting this strain. So we can't be sure that anyone coming into this country doesn't already have one of these more transmissible strains. There's obviously one in South Africa as well. So really it is about getting these tests done before people come and just making sure that we've got all those arrangements in place to make sure it doesn't get out of the quarantine.
If we turn our attention now to the vaccine, critics say our plan with the Oxford AstraZeneca jab have described when delivered with 2 full doses the 62% efficacy. They're worried that that won't provide herd immunity. Is that a concern you share?
Well, the priority really is to get our population vaccinated. So that involves gathering data on the safety and efficacy of the various vaccines and actually having access to the vaccine as well. The government has a good plan in progress. They've gone to 5 different manufacturers with contracts well before any of the data was available. And now as the data is starting to come in, we can design our program to suit the Australia's needs. None of these vaccines are actually approved by the TGA yet. So it's all speculation at this stage, and we're certainly hoping that as more data comes in, we'll understand more about each of these vaccines and where they're best used.
I'm interested particularly because Paul Kelly this morning was referring to it's between 62 to 90% effective. Now, that 90% figure was in those trials when we saw the half dose administered before the full dose was administered later. Is this a way that, should this vaccine be approved, Australia should be rolling it out to ensure it's as effective as possible?
Well, we need to know more about the efficacy. Unfortunately, the study of the AstraZeneca vaccine did have some issues, and that's why we've got these rather strange results. That 90% sounds good, but it was in quite a small group and it was relatively young people. So really, I think that the numbers overall are the ones to be looking at. There's also some large trials still underway, and that they'll be reporting in due course. And hopefully when the Australian authorities are making their final decisions, they'll have access to the extra information, including how it works in the elderly, which are clearly a really key group here. They're the people who actually get sick and die with COVID. So there's no point having a vaccine that's great in young people but doesn't work in the elderly. And I think we also need to take into account the practicalities. The mRNA vaccines, which have got great early results, are really hard in terms of logistics, and there's a significant chance that the task of getting them out to people would actually defeat us if we use one of these vaccines.
How worried are you that this fresh criticism will impact trust in the vaccine?
Well, like all throughout this pandemic, we've seen informed people having their say, we've seen uninformed people having their say. Everyone is aroused, they're anxious, they want this all to be over. They want the best vaccine available. Some people want it tomorrow, regardless of any approval processes, and others want to wait until there's more information. What I can say is that we've got great regulatory processes in Australia. We have a world's leading immunisation program already. And we can trust the people that run that program to design it appropriate for our needs. Once these vaccines are approved in Australia and rolled out, Australians will know that they are both safe and effective and can have 100% certainty around that.